So still staying in Proverbs chapter 12, verse 4. We're reading the easy translation. It says, a good wife. So we looked at two words, two qualifying words for the wife. New King James Version says, the excellent wife. Excellent. Striving for perfection. Excellent. Not just good, but excellent. Not just a wife, but excellent wife. The easy translation says a good wife, as opposed to a bad wife. A good wife. So you can be a bad wife just as much as you can be a good wife. So there's a bad wife, there's a good wife. But here we're talking about you have to be a good wife. As different from being a bad wife. If you now when you are, you bring honor to your husband. You bring a crown to your husband. You bring honor to your husband. And that's the Proverbs chapter 31 woman, the virtuous woman. And that's what we're talking about here. But I don't want to use the different breakdown Proverbs 31 because we're still going there on our journey. So let's do this without Proverbs 31. It says, an excellent wife, a good wife will bring a crown to the husband, will bring honor to the husband, will elevate the status of the husband. When you're a good wife, when you're an excellent wife, you elevate the status of your husband. You increase your husband, you know. And it goes on and it says, in the easy translation, it will bring honor to our husband like a crown. But the wife will bring shame to our husband, right? Will take away his strength. Kabo Shanda. That's what I talk about, being prepared for war, being prepared to see the outer war. When you're a bad wife, when you don't meet up to the standard, when you don't meet up to the requirement, when you don't meet up to the calling of a wife, even though you are supposed to be a wife, you are a wife in name, but not a wife in doing, a wife in name, but not a wife in reality, a wife in doing, in name, but not a wife in the everyday status requirement of a wife. You will deprive your husband of strength. You will make him a weakling. You make him a weakling. You will deprive him of honor. You make people to laugh at him. You make him not to be productive. You make him to be impotent. That's your power as a wife when you don't do your place, when you don't do your job, when you don't take your place as a wife. That's what the easy translation says. We'll go on to the expanded Bible. The expanded Bible says a good, noble wife. So we have added another word here, noble wife. Proverbs 31 also has another word, a virtuous wife, a virtuous woman. So we're talking about a good wife, an excellent wife, a noble wife, one that understands his or her place in, one that walks with dignity, one that carries herself as a wife, not just as a woman, not just as a girl, but as a wife, understands the calling of a wife and carries herself accordingly as a wife. The Bible says that a good, noble wife is like a crown for a husband. It's like a crown for a husband. It's like a thing of joy for a husband. It's like a thing of pride for a husband. It is a thing of pride for a man to have someone in the house that is called, not only called the wife, but does the duty, the placing of a wife. It increases him. It makes me happy. It makes him complete. It makes him not to be alone. That's what we're seeing here. It's like a crown for the husband, but a wife that brings shame to her husband will take away his strength. Oh, sorry, that's the easy translation. The expanded Bible says, but a disgraceful wife. So we're seeing another quality here. We said it could be a bad wife, but it could also be a disgraceful wife, a wife that does not carry grace, a wife that walks anyhow or does anyhow, does not fit the calling, does not fit the pattern, does not fit the work of a wife, a disgraceful wife, a wife that does not know her place, is like a disease, a rot in his bones. It's a disease, a rot in his bone. It's a disability to the man. If a wife does not know a place, right? Who is a wife? General definition is a female partner, in a legal, traditional, or cultural marriage. Is a female partner the female partner, the female to the male in the relationship, the male being the husband, the wife, the female partner in a legal, traditional, cultural marriage. We'll continue.